I know I said I wasn't going to do any more filming, but I can't do the cutback yet, so I've decided to nip out and have a wander around the garden. So I've decided that this is going to be the next project, this section here, the secret garden bit, and I am going to cut it down, and never really explained why I'm going to cut it down. Not in the last video anyway. The reason I'm cutting it down is because all that section down there is rotten. And if we can take it round, so it has this back to it, and it's absolutely lovely. And what I'm going to do is take all this bottom section off from about here, and I'm going to turn this into a gate, effectively, for the secret garden. And it's got this lovely gothic shape, which I absolutely love. And as I said, I rescued this out of a skip. It was going to be thrown away, or before it got into the skip. Now, it had these lovely shapes here on this hinge, and this is a false hinge. So that's not what held it up, really. Although, having a look at that, did it? Yeah, it might have done. Could have done, but you can get these to mimic. I can't get the exact one. I have had a look online, and you can get something very similar as this in black, as big as that. Now, there's my hand in my glove. So you can imagine that's quite big, but they're not that expensive. They're only about 30 or 40 quid. So it's worth investing in that. And I'll put a couple of those on as facing hinges, no more than that. And I'll have to have some really heavy duty ones here. They'll have to go on there. And then what I'm intending to do, it's either got to test this if it's, it's quite wobbly that, but this does go in the ground at the bottom. But what I shall do is I shall put 2 more posts on there, because I have to get the width right. And I have bought the posts already. I went on Friday and bought a couple more of those very posts from the same place. Just excuse me a minute, I'm just trying to demonstrate to you what I'm actually going to do. So you've got to imagine this is going to be smaller than this. It's going to be a gate. I can't keep the bottom bit, so for those of you who say, well, why don't you keep the other bit? I can't really, because it is too rotten. And I know it's not being used as a door, but a gate. So it's going to pretty much look like that, but lower down. So it'll take away the fact that that is not the same shape as the actual structure itself. You can see that. It's going to be slightly different structure. So it pays you to remove it away from that. So it's lower down, so that doesn't really play with your eye. And the one thing I could do to mimic it is I could create the same shape, and I could get some more wood, plywood, anything simple, and create the same gothic shape down. So from both sides, and create the same gothic shape lower down, which will guide your eye to it, and it'd be lovely. So that's the gap I'm playing with at the moment, this gap here, but I've obviously got to centralise this here. Got to centralise that in. So looking at that, it's probably only going to take 1 more post to actually fill that gap in. I've got 2, and I might have to rip one down to fit in. So I might have to rip one of these posts down into a quarter so I can fill it both sides. But I'll show you that once I've done it. I'm hoping to do it next weekend. This weekend is absolutely freezing. There's absolutely no point in doing anything. I showed you the other video what I was doing before the final cutback, but that's not going to happen for at least another month. But you kind of get an idea. Now also, while we're doing that, and I've said this before, those bits on the side, which is pallet wood, those black ones there that I painted, they've got a climbing hydrangea going up there, petrolalis. And it's going to climb all the way up there. So I've decided, I've got a few more of those in the shed. I'm going to put more of those up. And then I'm going to get hold of some more and put those all the way up there, because I want it to be a little bit more secretive, and that's what that'll create. And I've also got to do it this side, so I'm going to create that. So I've decided that I'm not going to put it inside this structure, because you can see there's 4 posts there. I've decided I'm actually it's going to pay me to put it at the front, because that'll make it more interesting. It might make it more interesting actually if I put it to this side, so you walked into the structure before you open the gate. Yeah, that might work better. Again, this goes back to trial and error. Trying something and see how it'll look better Crazy, crazy, crazy. Let me have a look. Sorry, you're not seeing a lot at the minute. I'll just keep talking while I'm waffling about what I'm doing. So, hang on. Camera's gone mad again. Oh. Okay, so, bear with me. I'm getting there. It's very heavy. It's a very, very heavy door, this. Getting there. Now that's going to fall. So that was a bit of a fight on my hands, and again, it goes back to the fact I can't really edit these at the moment. I am actually going to invest in a new laptop to see if I can start editing these videos. I do like the live aspect of them. It keeps it real. So there you go. So if I was to put it inside, that's the effect I'm going to get. So don't forget, the wood, that wood there is going to go all the way up to the top. And then that gate could sit there, so it kind of taunts you and makes you want to come in. Now, you can't make out strictly, but there at the back, if you look in the background there's a load of woods and fields way back. And I don't think I can... Oh, I can zoom in there. There you go, look, you can see them now. So we've got that lovely view there. So when I drop that what is a door now to a gate, that's going to look great because you're going to be able to see over there still. Let's put that back where it was. So, yeah, so that's going to look really good. And as you can see down there, that is rotten. It can't be saved. I'd love to save it, but I can't save it. It's not savable, really, unless I put some of that wood hardener on, and I'd sooner not, because I think I prefer it as a gate. The gate will still be at least this high anyway. The gate will stay as high as that, so that should look quite nice. Yeah, that's going to look good. So that's what we're intending to do. So if we step further back, you get a better idea of that. So that's going to look quite nice, I think you'll agree. So once you imagine that door's dropped, I've cut it down and it's on hinges, and it will be done so that I can open it inwards into the structure itself. So that what that'll do then is protect it from being outside when it's rotting, because it'll have the protection of that roof, so it won't rot as quick. Now, I had thought about painting it black to match, but actually it's going to look better kept white. I will rub that down, we'll sand it down, give it a quick sanding, give it a refresh of paint, and then put some big black hinges on it just so it looks nice. So yeah, there's quite a gap here. Yeah, I think it's going to take 1.5 of those posts, so I will have to rip one of the posts down to size once I put it up. And that's what we're intending to do. So that's the next part of the process. But what I also intend to do, I've been to see a friend, and we go back to my Buxa Sempervirens. Now, I brought these ones from a friend's. He's got these ones in quite a large number that he's not using. So I intend to strike a deal with him, see what I can get these for, and I'm going to start taking the Buxas all the way down. So as you come through here, what you get is the line of Buxas will continue, and it'll continue up to here. Let's show you with my foot. It's going to continue to about probably here, there. So it's kind of in line with that corner. Then it'll have a break, and then it'll start again. In fact, we could probably demonstrate that for you. Got no better to do today, so let's do this. I can't plant anything. This ground is solid. So what we'll have, in effect, if we can get a wider field on that, is that those two, they'll allow you through. So during further development of the garden, we might take some of that out. I don't know yet. These are all ideas whirring around in my head as I walk around. So the Buxas should look good, because it'll go from that Buxas there up to the rest. It'll create a little low hedge. I shall also bring it round here. I shall bring it round to here, come across partly to that path, then it'll jump and it'll come across here, and it'll continue down here, the Buxas hedge, to here, to this section here, and it'll stop there, And then it'll carry on and we'll just finish it off down here, both sides. We'll run the Bux's hedging all the way down. Now, I appreciate that's going to take some hedging. Another reason I showed you how to get your free plants from the garden centre. So because a friend of mine has got a load of these that he's not really using, I'm going to do that deal and get loads of these. Hopefully enough to do this whole section, but it's going to take something like 50 plants probably, and they're quite a size. Now if you used to buy those in the garden centres, they'd be quite pricey and probably wouldn't be worth doing. It'd probably be better for me to put those ones in the 9cm pots in and just wait for time to catch up again. So that's what we're going to do there. So that'll look really nice, and what it's going to do, sorry I keep walking backwards and forwards, what it's going to do, it's going to encourage you through. So it'll bring you through the Flintstones arch, which is this arch here made out of telegraph poles. It'll bring you through that. The very fact that these box edgings are going to be both sides, that side, and then again it'll jump across to the other, and it'll look like a path. The path will eventually be lifted. It won't stay grass forever, and it will make you want to walk down. So you'll walk down to here, get to this stage here, and then you'll walk back up to there. Now, I've not been happy with this section at the minute, so there could be some changes made to this, because I'm not quite happy. It's not very comfortable to walk down. And as I'm opening the garden, I've got to think of these safety things. Now, I've got to be mindful of that. So I may end up lifting all of that. I may end up raising it on some sleepers and making that the stop point there. And that could create a nice, interesting stop point. And you could look from there over here, and we may make all of this at some sort of a border. I don't know. There's just so many options at the moment. I'm still toying with moving this structure as well, although it looks really nice here. As I said earlier, I'm trying to not feed the birds now. I'm trying to make there is still feed in there. It's old feed. I'm trying to make the birds zip around and find their own food. I will start throwing it out should I think they need it. I will start throwing it on the garden. But for now, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to feed them, because I want them to start finding their own food within the garden. And they can, and they stand a better chance of doing that if I don't encourage them to just fly in my garden for that, for the feeding pole. I'd rather they come in looking for the actual insects themselves, but we'll see. So that's going to look quite nice. So as predicted, the ferns are starting to drop now. I knew they would. We've had a lot of cold weather, and I mean really cold weather. But anyway, so imagine that again, where that bottom cross is. That's going to be halfway up the bottom cross, cut off and drop down, because it's rotten up to there. There's absolutely no point trying to save it. Just drop it and make it into a gate, a garden gate for the secret garden, or for the secret garden entrance. So that's going to look really nice. And as time goes by, all of these shrubs will get to where I want them. This viburnum eve price should make it to about 5 or 6 foot if I'm lucky. That's the one there. That should make it up there. And then this little berberis should get taller by then. And this English Taxus baccata, the little skinny one you're looking at, that should get to quite a size, and it grows quite quick. So there's possibly going to have to be something else put in there with it, but we'll see what happens over time. I might even invest in another viburnum eve price and change it to that to give some continuity. I don't know. We'll give that some thought again. There's lots of ideas, but at the moment I want to concentrate on getting this secret garden entrance finished. And it's going to look brilliant from here, actually. Once all that pallet wood is put into there, into that section, and the opposite side, it will have a kind of a interesting look, place of intrigue. I won't be sitting the door as it is there. The door will sit as far in as I dare get it into here, so it's sat more in to give it more protection. And then if I do put it that side, I want it to swing in, like I said, because I want to give it the protection being under here. Because what you do is you come through the gate, push it, leave it open, and it stays out in the rain, and over time that can start to rot it, which is what's happened here. It was originally a garden gate, I do believe, but it was in a brick wall. I bet it looked lovely. But now it's having a new life up here at Grassy Bottom. We're going to do it like that. And that's going to be lovely. So that's just a little insight today, because I can't really do it. It's Sunday. I get a little bit bored inside, as you know. So when I came home after I'd done the radio show, I decided, let's have a look, let's see what we can do. And I think that's going to look really interesting. I think that's going to look fantastic. Yeah, so there we go. So that's the thought process for the next section. And again, creating a journey, creating an interesting garden. Winter's good to do that. It keeps the brain matter going, let's put it that way, especially on these cold days, because it is freezing. But evergreens again, let's go into the evergreens. Buxus sempervirens is an evergreen, so it adds interest all year round, and that should add an interesting counterpoint going in. It should look really, really nice. And that'd be great. I love that. And here we go, look, some more evergreen. So basically what we're creating is that effect there. That Buxus sempervirens will run here, run around as it does, like it is now. It'll reconnect here, and it'll carry on across and across again, across to there, all the way down. I'm repeating myself, I know. I'm just thinking about it at the moment, and it's gonna give this area some sort of a purpose instead of just being a bit of a mishmash. But when it grows in summer, this looks fantastic. But winter's a good time to reevaluate. So hopefully that'll look good. I'm quite looking forward to that. That's going to add interest. You can see now that down in the what I call the pillbox, or the entrance to the secret garden, it's now going to have to be called. That should look interesting. It's all starting to add interest to the garden itself. And the plants, obviously it's the plants are the main thing. But without man-made structures in your garden, believe me, it's not as interesting. It can become very boring. It can become simply a plantsman's garden, which is great in its own right, but it's still better to have structures, man-made structures, like I've been doing here. Just the little odd little thing. You don't have to put as many up as I'm putting up. Don't forget, I've got a quarter of an acre of garden here up at Grassy Bottom. Some of it runs behind the bungalow there, all the way round, and it's more of a path, and then onto a flatter area at the back where there's a garage. And I've got all that's kind of there as well. So I've got a hell of an area to actually play with. It doesn't look, I appreciate it doesn't look massive when I'm on here, but it's quite a big garden, bigger than what most people would want to deal with, but I love it. So there we go, my thought process for the next project, which hopefully I will definitely get the gate in by next week, by next Saturday, if I can. I can't say I'm going to get the wood in because I have to get that. I have to go and pick that up from another town. And I may not be able to do that because you have to sort of arrange a time, which is a bit annoying really. But it should look good. And I am seriously considering putting that wooden plywood in to give it that gothic look to match in with the gate below it. So that would add more interest. And that would be an easy thing to do, that for me. That'd be quite easy. So there you go. The next project. Quite exciting. The box edging looks good there. I know it's going to look good. Box edging, it just immediately makes things look good if you can get box edging in. And as I said, it's evergreen, adds interest, it's permanently there, and it's good down the side of paths. It's just great. I appreciate again that there's going to be a bit of maintenance on that as well, but I'm not going to let them get very tall. They're going to be something like 2 foot, not going to be any deeper than that or higher than that. So that'll look nice, and hopefully we can mimic this. What's going on here? We're already mimicking this section here. You can see it mimics it there. It's going down there, so that's looking really nice. And keep toying with the idea of putting more of it down here. Don't know yet. Quite happy with that at the moment. I think that will be all right. Yeah, that's it. Right, when I end this, I'll nip down there and move that door because I can guarantee it's going to blow over in the wind. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!